reduced here. They're going to wet you with the dew of heaven. 7 times shall pass over you till you know that the Most High rules in the kingdom of men and gives it to whomever he chooses. Do you get that? You're going to be like an animal until you understand that it's God who rules. It's God who's the supreme leader, and he gives leadership to whoever he wills, and he can take it from whoever he wills. I don't know what Nebuchadnezzar did after this, but we drop down a little bit later. It says 12 months later. So a year later, this didn't happen right away. And actually, by the way, Daniel said this. He says, I want you to do this. He says, humble yourself. So maybe this won't have to happen, or maybe it can be prolonged, it can be put off. Like, do something about this, okay? 12 months later, we drop down in the chapter. Nebuchadnezzar was walking in his royal palace. And this is what he said. Is not this great Babylon that I have built for a royal dwelling by my mighty power, for the honor of my majesty? You get a little theme going through there? Is not this great Babylon that I have built for a royal dwelling by my mighty power, for the honor of my majesty? Nebuchadnezzar was a really good leader, and he knew it. And he took credit for it. This is great Babylon that I have built by my mighty power for the honor of my majesty. And it says this, while the word was still in the king's mouth, a voice fell from heaven and said this, King Nebuchadnezzar, to you it is spoken, the kingdom has departed from you. Who can do that? Only God. And God can do that because he's the supreme leader. And every leadership position, every leadership opportunity that he has given to each one of us is a stewardship. And what happened that day is exactly like Daniel interpreted. Nebuchadnezzar was driven from men. He slept out with the beast until he knew that the Most High rules over the kingdom of men, and he gives leadership to whoever he will. You know what Nebuchadnezzar's testimony is at the end of this? If we drop down to verse 34, he says, at the end of the time, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted up my eyes to heaven, and my understanding returned to me. You talk about somebody being humbled. You know, I wonder what people thought as they drove by or walked by or rode by on their camel or, you know, whatever they went by on, and they saw their king in the pasture with the cattle. You know, I don't know how that looked. But you want to talk about being humbled and being putting lower than everyone when you were the mighty king. And this was his testimony. He says this, at the end of that time, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted up my eyes to heaven, and my understanding returned to me, and I blessed the Most High and praised and honored him who lives forever. For his dominion is an everlasting dominion. This is Nebuchadnezzar speaking. You'd think it'd be David or the Apostle Paul or Peter or someone, right? No, this is Nebuchadnezzar speaking. For his dominion is an everlasting dominion, and his kingdom is from generation to generation. Not mine. God rules forever. God's dominion forever. And my leadership, it's just a stewardship. All the inhabitants of the earth are reputed as nothing. He does according to his will in the army of heaven and among the inhabitants of the earth. No one can restrain his hand or say to him, what have you done? In other words, you can't question him or challenge him. At the same time, my reason returned to me, and for the glory of my kingdom, my honor and splendor returned to me. My counselors and nobles resorted to me, and I was restored to my kingdom, and excellent majesty was added to me. Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and extol and honor the King of heaven, all of whose works are truth and his ways justice, and those who walk in pride he is able to put down. Now, a dilemma that you and I will face, and that is this: the better the leader that you become, the more people are going to praise you. Because everyone loves good leadership. Many people are turned off on leaders because they've been under bad leadership, and it's finally refreshing to find some good leadership. Everybody loves a good leader. And a good leader is somebody who's going to be humble, right? So when you're praised for doing well as a leader, and whether it's your ministry, whether it's your business, whether it's your home, whatever it may be, the place where you have this stewardship of leadership, when it is doing well and people are praising you, the better you do, the more they praise you. And here's the dilemma. Are you going to listen to them? Are you going to start to think, wow, I really am something. I really am a great leader? Or are you going to remember that it's God who's the ultimate leader? And any leadership that I have, it's because he gave it to me, and I need to do this well because he could take it back. And I can't really take credit for anything. Leadership is a stewardship. Nebuchadnezzar's downfall was pride, a real temptation to any great leader. Let's write down something else here, okay? Understanding that our leadership is a stewardship helps us stay humble. Understanding that our leadership is a stewardship helps us stay humble. Nebuchadnezzar was lifted up in pride, God took him down. And when he humbled himself, then God actually gave it back to him. So understanding that stewardship helps us stay humble. We know that we're going to give an account of our leading and that it could be taken away from us at any time. Now, I wonder if you're the kind of person who thinks, you know what, I'm like born leader. I'm the kind, with my personality and my giftings, I'm the kind of person that I just need to be in charge. If you're the kind of leader that needs to be in charge, you're not a good leader. Okay, I'm sorry to pick on you. Let's do this. What's it take to make a good follower? And I know you didn't have donuts this morning, but maybe you have enough energy to give me a little bit of help here. So go ahead. What are some characteristics of a good follower? What makes a good follower? Whether it's in church, whether it's in work, in a family. What makes a good follower? They can listen. Okay, somebody who can listen. Something else. Teachable. Submissive. They can follow instructions. Respect. Describing a good follower to me. All of those are necessary to be a good follower. Now, what about a leader? If you're the kind of person that has to be in charge, it's probably because you don't like to submit to authority. You don't like to listen. What were some of the other things we heard? You don't want to follow instructions. You're not really a team player. You'd rather be in charge than be under authority. A great follower can be a great leader. And I believe that a great leader is first a great follower. In fact, I think for every one of us here as leaders, we need to be in positions, in places where we are following. I believe all of us need to be men under authority, not always in charge wherever we are. It's not a healthy position to be in for any one of us. So I believe that a good leader is somebody who can be a great follower. In fact, a leader should be able to be the best follower because they understand what it takes to lead. And they understand what it means to be a team player, to listen well, to follow instructions, to be under authority. Not all followers are leaders, but all leaders have first learned to be great followers. Let's write that down yet. A great leader is first a great follower. If you're not able to follow well, you're not going to be able to lead well. So leadership is influence, leadership requires vision, and leadership is a stewardship. Now, if you turn your page over, you have some study questions here. I want us to look at them. And these are all personal questions that I want you to take just a few moments and just to write these down, okay? In what places am I a leader? And you can write that down, whether it's home, whether it's work, church, business, whatever, friends, okay? In what places am I a leader? Secondly, who are people that are following me? And some of you should just write down employees because you've got a lot of people that are following you. Who's following you? Write down those who are following you. And if you can give names, that's great. Then thirdly is this. What is my vision for the places where I am leading? What is my vision for the places where I am leading? Remember this. Like John Maxwell said, vision is the indispensable quality of a leader. Leadership requires vision. Sometimes we can get really lazy in our places of leadership, and we just kind of are doing it without a vision. What is my vision for the places where I am a leader? So I want you to take a minute here and just jot some of these things down. And then after we give you just a little bit of time to do that, I'm going to have you turn to the person next to you, and you're just going to tell them about what you've written down here, okay? So let's just take a little bit of time and then do this. And maybe you came to these series and said, I wanted to be taught, but I just wanted to be an observer, not a participant. You're in the wrong place, okay? If you came here just like, don't make me write down anything, don't make me tell anybody anything, stay home next Tuesday, okay? I would stay home and sleep in and make sure you have donuts rather than risk it and come out here, right? So no, go ahead and jot these things down. This is healthy for us to do. And maybe that third question is something you haven't thought about before. What is my vision for the places where I am a leader? So maybe today is going to be your first time just of really thinking about that. Well, that's a great question for you to be pondering this morning, this week, until we come to next week's session. So let's do this now. Most of you are done writing. I want you to turn to the person next to you. So just kind of pair the person next to you. I just want you to share with them, okay? Here's the places where I'm a leader. Here's the people that are following me, and here's my vision for what I'm doing, all right? So go ahead. Let's do that in pairs of two, and when Jason thinks that you're done, I'll let him take over from here, okay? So let's go ahead and do this, and maybe it's confession time. Maybe it's something you say, you know what, I need prayer in this area. I don't have vision or whatever it may be, but go ahead, you share, and Jason will close then.